Before we begin today's episode, I wanted to let everyone know that AntsCanada.com is having its big annual holidays promo, the 2020 sale. That's 20% off all hybrid series ant farms and gear packs from now until January 2020, plus a free copy of our newly updated Ultimate Ant Keeping Handbook. Right now at AntsCanada.com. Click the link in the description to get your AC ant farm today. And now, enjoy today's ant episode. After a long and successful day, I looked down at the clippings and dead tree I had collected from our projects. Ordinarily, I would throw these away. But suddenly, an awesome idea came to me. An idea that I felt could possibly change and affect the lives of every creature and terrarium in the entire AC Antiverse. AC family, it was time to embark on a new and exciting biological engineering project. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC family. Enjoy! Last week, we had two major maintenance operations for two of our beloved kingdoms in the AC Antiverse. First, the mystical double floating island of Avista, home to the big-headed ants, you named the bobbleheads, underwent a serious makeover, receiving a new island to their open-air ant archipelago. The red banyan tree, the great tree of wisdom, also needed trimming, so I snipped around their sacred tree, which resulted in this gorgeous, well-manicured main island. We replaced a dead tree with a new one, and gave them a superworm as a housewarming gift. East of Avista stands the canopy of Vortetia, our treetop forest home to our aggressive weaver ant colony, the Emerald Empire. The territories also needed maintenance, as one of the trees had seriously overgrown. It was a scary operation to snip away at the overgrown leaves and perform general maintenance, with weaver ants wanting to attack me the whole time. But the biggest thing that came out of this was that I also took the opportunity to improve the biological profile of Vortetia's soil life through the addition of roaches, superworms, and other creatures, and then sealing the entire thing up. It resulted in a clean, healthy, and bioactive environment where creatures could eat decaying materials, reproduce on their own, and be hunted, all inside the canopy of Vortetia. It was the epic creation of an entire contained ecosystem, and the way I saw it, like the creation of a mini planet within glass. And this gave me an idea. This week, our journey towards creating the ultimate homes for our ants and other creatures continues as we launch a super cool biological engineering project I call Project Nucleus. And AC family, I think you guys will totally dig it. No pun intended. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's info-packed episode as I show you how life of a successful vivarium begins and how I plan to create mini planets within glass. In the past few weeks, my recent projects of making more bioactive terrariums have been undeniably successful. Bioactive basically meaning throwing in a bunch of different organisms with different purposes into a single enclosed environment, resulting in a healthier and more dynamic life for our ant colonies, as well as the fellow tenants living with them. In the case of the Dark Nights a few weeks back, for instance, a new life with bagworms, millipedes, jumping spider, springtails, isopods, worms, and who knows what else came with the leaf litter and plants I threw into their new home, which, by the way, needs a new name, so vote here, AC Council, meant that the ants could truly live like they did in the wild, defending their territory, with prey at their disposal, and home bioactively cleaned by creatures that would eat their poop and garbage, converting it to fertilizer for the plants, which would go on to produce oxygen for the system, and so on. The partnerships of these various creatures made for a very self-sustaining, biodynamic world. I thoroughly loved this streak of successfully creating these super bioactive terrariums on steroids, which ultimately gave me the idea to start Project Nucleus. So what is Project Nucleus, you ask? Well, it goes like this. So you may or may not know, every time I start building a new terrarium, I either recycle aged terrarium soil or collect leaf litter from my neighborhood and add it to the soil. I do this because soil creatures like springtails, mites, worms, millipedes, and isopods are needed to help break down organic waste in the terrarium. Wilted leaves from plants, exoskeletons, and other wastes from the prey, as well as ant excrements, are all broken down by these soil-residing organisms. Without them, the entire terrarium may rot, fungus take over, and just lead to a gross terrarium mess. Plus, these soil creatures are the missing link between organic waste and plant life, because soil creature poop from organic waste contains a ton of amazing nutrients for plants. The problem with using new soil to create new terrariums is that they contain only a few of these creatures. It would take some time for a new terrarium to develop the populations of soil biota. So as a general rule, the older the soil, the more lush and abundant the soil life is. Now, to better understand what I'm talking about and appreciate how cool of an undertaking Project Nucleus is, let's take a look at one of the amazing ant kingdoms in the AC Antiverse, on which a lot of you have been patiently waiting for an update. Welcome everyone to the home of the Golden Empire. This colony of yellow crazy ants, scientifically known as Anopolepis gracilipes, is one of the OG ant colonies of this channel. They were once a massive glorious colony of millions, but were unexpectedly hit by a lethal plague of blood-sucking mites earlier this year, which reduced them to several hundreds. I rescued a small population and put them into quarantine, where I treated their vampiric body mites with predatory hypoaspis mites harvested from rhino beetles, of all places. And lucky for me, I was able to recover at least 5 of the 7 queens and rid the colony of the vampiric mites. To rehabilitate them, I transferred them into this hybrid nest plus ant tower setup. We even documented the cured Golden Empire workers transferring their brood into their new home. What a trip and triumphant day that was. During the mass emigration, we also noticed that the hypoaspis mites were still living with the Golden Empire, assumingly protecting the colony from future bad mite attacks. You can watch all of this here, by the way. So it was clear that the relationships with smaller organisms like the hypoaspis mites were extremely important for the ants' well-being. And AC family, you're about to see how much these relationships have evolved since they moved in a few months ago, and how it has helped the Golden Empire flourish. Look! I'm happy to announce the Golden Empire is doing great. Here are the queens, who prefer to hang out in their hybrid nest, which has become the main mother nest of the colony. They've been laying lots of eggs. Look at those egg batches being carried around by caring workers. I estimate the colony is well over 1,000 workers now, and is about to get even bigger. But what's more amazing is this, guys. Other creatures are also living in the hybrid nest, in cooperation with the colony. Here are springtails, known in the Antiverse as the spring cleaners, which help eat decaying material, ant poop, and mold. We also have beneficial mites eating up the same stuff. But check this out. For the first time on the channel, we get a glimpse at a species of symbiotic isopods that live with the ants. Isn't that amazing? The ants don't attack these isopods, which are actually crustaceans, who thrive off the garbage left behind by the ants, mold that might be growing around the premises, and possibly their poop. It's possible these isopods were living with the Golden Empire the whole time, since the beginning, back when they were still residing in the Hacienda del Dorado. But we've only been able to see them now, due to visual access of the hybrid nest. And that's not all, guys. I've even discovered there are silverfish-type insects living with the ants. I don't know what species these little turbo guys are, but I am pretty sure they also have a key role at eating up dead insect leftovers, ant poop, and fungi. So guys, check out the beauty of how this all works. The Golden Empire has a system. So like humans, the colony produces garbage. And like humans, the ants keep the garbage in piles and bury it. They've chosen designated areas of the hybrid nest as garbage rooms. They also delegate certain areas for bathrooms. It's essential, especially in an underground moist environment, for the colony to be as clean and systematic with their waste management as possible. So all hell doesn't break loose and the colony dies from unsanitation. So once these garbage and bathroom spots get too soiled and littered, the colony then buries these areas up, and that's when the cleanup team of soil creatures take over and work their magic. They're small enough to fit into the tight spaces of the buried chambers where they proceed to eat up the garbage and ant poop, and keeping dangerous fungus that grows on the garbage and poop under control. A lot of you ask how I clean my ant farms, and well, now you know. I kinda don't need to, because the ant farms bioactively clean themselves. The life forms take care of the maintenance like they would in the wild. I just add water and watch it all happen. There's even a whole other decomposition process happening at the microbial level. If we were to take a look at a sample of this ant nest material under a microscope, we'd find a whole other world of bacteria and colonies of unicellular organisms, also busy eating and decomposing organic matter. So as you can see, there's quite the system happening here. It's mutualistic symbiosis at its finest, which basically means there's a cooperation between all parties for the benefit of all. It's amazing to be able to see all of this in the hybrid nest because you can't really see it happening in a terrarium. But I assure you, this is what's going on underground in all our terrariums. Perhaps with different sets of soil creatures unique to each terrarium. And look, the creatures even migrate and travel through the tubes to and from the colony's neighboring satellite nests. Speaking of which, let's cover up the hybrid nest and briefly take a look at the Golden Empire satellite nest in the large ant tower, shall we? As you can see, this is the popular hangout for the spring cleaners. A ton of springtails for some reason love this place and seem to be quite busy at the moment, working on a leftover superworm. Now want to see something cool? See this little contraption with a switch? I turn it on, and a light beneath the ant tower illuminates from inside. For those of you who are new to ants, ants are naturally photophobic, which means they don't like light in their nests. But it is said that ants cannot see red light, so keeping the ants under red film and lighting them up with red light causes the ants to feel like they're shrouded in darkness. And peeling off this red film reveals ants congregating in one of their chambers. Check out all the tunnels they've created down to the bottom of the ant tower. Springtails can be seen frequenting all areas. Now AC family, after seeing all of this, it's now time to talk about my idea, Project Nucleus. Rich bioactive homes like the Golden Empires here don't happen overnight. The creatures are few at first, usually coming in with plants, rocks, and soil that you place into the terrarium. And it takes months to create populations as rich as the one we see here in the Golden Empire. And a good year for it to really be established. And as you know, AC family, we are always creating new worlds and vivariums on this channel. And it would be very beneficial to have a constant supply of soil creatures to help speed up the bioactivation process in newly created terrariums. And so, my idea. AC family, I present to you Project Nucleus. In this glass enclosure, I plan on creating what shall become the nucleus of the AC Antiverse, the creational furnace from which shall be born epic populations of soil biota for future terrariums we make from here on in. If we could create a place where we could culture soil creatures, a place with aged soil and an established soil ecosystem. Then, when creating a new terrarium or ant home, we could simply scoop up a bit of the medium from the nucleus to place into our new terrarium, and thereby help populate the new terrarium soil with its team of soil creatures. One scoop of medium from the nucleus would be enough to bioactivate any terrarium much more quickly than if it were just created from scratch. Plus, the medium produced from the AC nucleus would be super rich in nutrients for plants. My plan was for the nucleus to be a place where I could take leaf clippings, decaying material or waste, or even dead creatures from other kingdoms of our Antiverse, and have them feed our nuclear soil creatures to be processed back into the soil. Essentially, we'd be creating a composter, just amped up with a ton of soil creatures. And so, to build this AC nucleus, we will be needing various materials. So here we go. First, we need this glass tank, our nuclear furnace of soil life culture. Through the glass, we'll be able to see the activities as well as the progress of the nuclear inhabitants in real time. Next, I'll be adding activated carbon to keep the growing medium purified from harmful metals and chemicals which could poison the populations of creatures living in here. Now let's move on to my worst fear in life. Worms. I had to face these vile-looking creatures once more. I began to use my trowel to scoop up earth from the bag, and I was immediately repulsed by these squirming African nightcrawlers seething from within the soils. As a scolicophobe, it was disgusting to see the worms squirming, but I knew I had to do this because earthworms are good for composting. They break down organic wastes and turn them into valuable compost or black soil, which are great for plants. Plus, populating a new terrarium with its starting team of earthworms is always a good thing. I placed the soil into the glass enclosure. As time passed, I forced myself to really look at the worms. Some worms fell and I had to pick them up. Ugh. I had to coach my mind that the worms were friends and harmless. Mind over matter. Mind over matter. I filled up the tank and pressed the medium down a bit as I went along. When I'd filled it to as much as I could, I decided to actually pick up the worms and hold them in my hand. Not so bad, huh? Next, I added leaf litter collected from outside. I knew it contained lots of different soil creatures that would be forefathers, foremothers, and for hermaphrodites to bring our AC nucleus to life. I immediately saw that I'd scooped up lots of millipedes. I couldn't touch them as this species produces cyanide, so bad for the eyes and enough to make a human sick. But they would be great at eating up decaying material. And oh, look! These millipedes immediately began mating, wasting no time, I see. Also, I had a handful of leaf clippings from Selva de Fuego maintenance. I cut these up so they could break down much more quickly, and placed them into the nucleus as well. Then I placed filter foam to cover everything up, to ensure no mischievous fly could enter and lay their eggs inside the tank. We wouldn't want to repeat the maggot episode. Right? The filter foam also helps keep all nuclear inhabitants inside, while allowing the entire system to breathe. After adding all the components, our AC nucleus was complete. 2 days later, the nucleus was already a happening place. Millipedes were still mating, and I suspect we're about to get a booming population of them soon. I was surprised to see another species of millipede had dug a burrow into the soils. Also, earthworms were seen everywhere. They created a network of burrows. And oh, I could see worm casts. I also saw that they had dragged pieces of the leaves into the soils for further feeding. Good job, earthworms. Such hardworking creatures. Not scary or disgusting at all. Sorta. I could also see several awesome mites already starting to populate the soils. springtails frolicked their new territories as well. And look, a bagworm was crawling along the top, with its constructed home made of debris. I didn't even know we put a bagworm in there. I'm not sure what else we'll be finding in this increasingly bioactive chamber we call the AC Nucleus. But I can't wait to see how this soil ecosystem evolves over time, and eventually use it to help speed up the bioactivation process of the terrariums we make in the future. In fact, I've been thinking a lot about this focus lately on bioactive setups for the ants and other creatures of the ant room. And I feel, AC family, that the AC Antiverse is approaching a new age, where more focus is placed on creating more holistic setups for the life forms we care for. Before, I used to create homes that would usually focus most on one creature, one star on a stage, whether it be an ant colony in an ant farm, or a tarantula in an enclosure. But I'm realizing more and more, after all these years of keeping ants, that this isn't the best way to house these creatures nor appreciate them to the fullest. In order to properly and naturally house them and watch them at their fullest potential, you need to do more than just decorate their home in a naturalistic way. The key here is remembering the context in which the creatures live in nature. The ant colonies we care for and love are actually part of an interconnected food web, a piece in a puzzle. And to properly house them and witness them in their truest and greatest form, you need to include all pieces of the puzzle. This to me means then that there should be a focus on developing the necessary associated animals like soil creatures in their soils, as we saw with the Golden Empire, prey creatures living in the territories as we've established with Vortetia, and allow the system to develop a collective biological profile of its own in an enclosed space, like we did with the Dark Knight's new vivarium. I caught some surviving darkling beetles, superworm survivors, mating within Olympus this week. Usually I'd fish these out and place them into my superworm bin, but this time I decided I'd keep them in there. Also, as you can probably imagine, I'm running out of room in the AC Antiverse. And while our future giant 2-story ant room in my new house is currently being built, I feel this merging of creatures to share a space may be a great solution to my now overcrowded ant room. A few months ago, I tried placing one of our vampire crabs into the Selva de Fuego. Now hold on, before you freak out. Normally, I'd never consider this because in my mind, the fire ants, as we know, are savages. But I also knew the crab occupies an entirely different niche and can get away by retreating underwater. And turns out, AC family, after 8 weeks, the crab is still alive and happy in the Selva de Fuego. The fire ants surprisingly don't bother it. And the crab goes about its daily activities, picking up garbage and dead ants the fire ants dump into the river, sleeping within the shadowy wet caves behind the falls, and picking off organic waste and algae off the rocks. Pretty awesome, right? I've gone ahead and placed a few crabs into the Hacienda del Dorado as well, where it now resides with a few microfrogs, shrimp, rasporofish, and trapjaw ants. So as you can see, this new era for our Antiverse and philosophy are both exciting and much more beneficial to the creatures we care for. It means a more deliberate structuring of their worlds so that the worlds can feed and sustain themselves, thereby minimizing my interaction with them, for the most part anyway. I realized recently that as an antkeeper, caregiver of life forms, and your creator of worlds, I'm not keeping individual creatures in inanimate setups, but rather, I'm keeping biodynamic superorganisms. The Selva de Fuego, the Hacienda del Dorado, Vortetia, Avista, Olympus. These are all superorganisms, composed of a multitude of living components that all depend on each other for survival. Little dynamic planets of life in our ever-expanding AC Antiverse. AC family, I've learned that it's the difference between just keeping pets and creating planets within glass. Speaking of making new terrariums, it just so happens another beast has been waiting in the shadows for you all to meet her. Yes, we have a new addition to our ever-growing AC Antiverse, and she's one of the most dangerous animals to ever reside in the ant room. AC family, I can't wait to show her to you. AC family, did you enjoy today's episode? What do you think of Project Nucleus? Let me know in the comments. Next week, we meet our newest addition to the Antiverse. So you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and bell icon for notifications now, so you don't miss out on who our new dangerous but beautiful beast is. And don't forget to hit the like button every single time, including now. It would really help a lot. If you're new to the channel and want to catch up on all your AntsCanada lore, feel free to binge watch this complete storyline playlist here, which traces the origins of all the ant colonies of the ant room, so you can follow their stories and better appreciate how these ant kingdoms came to be and why we love them so much. AC and her colony, I have left a hidden cookie for you here. If you'd like a clue as to who our newest beast is, maybe you might be able to figure it out, so go check it out. And now it's time for the AC question of the week. Last week we asked, name one of the bioactive creatures found in Vortetia. Congratulations to Tan Grace Lynn, who correctly answered millipedes. Congratulations, Tan Grace Lynn, you just won a free ebook handbook from our shop. In this week's AC question of the week, we ask, what is mutualistic symbiosis? Leave your answer in the comment section, and you could also win a free ebook handbook from our shop. Hope you can subscribe to the channel as we upload every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video to help us keep making more. It's Ant Love forever.